Welcome. We'd like to welcome everyone to the Cedar City Iron County Economic Review Breakfast. My name is Ryan Workman. I work with Desert Paint Specialists, and I'm also the Cedar City Chamber of Commerce board member in charge of the Iron County Economic Review Breakfasts. Today, we're very lucky to have Mayor Wilson Edwards with us today to give her what we hope to be annual State of the City address. Before we start, just one announcement. We'd like to thank Rocky Mountain Power for their sponsorship of this activity. Thank you everyone who has come to participate, and again especially thank Mayor Wilson Edwards for being here and providing us some information about what's going on with our city. And with no further ado, I'd like to turn the remainder of the time over to Mayor Maile Edwards, or Wilson Edwards. Thanks.
Morning, Matt. Hi, guys. I love mornings.
I love mornings. So thank you so much for having me here and kind of for bearing with me because I have whatever has been going around that will not go away. So I kind of sound like a man today, and we just accept that. And I have my pack of cough drops up here and my walking advertisement for Diet Coke up here and everything else. So I would like to welcome you all to the State of the City address. Thank you to the Chamber and to all of you for being up at this exciting hour to be here with me. As you probably have realized, I have never done one of these State of the City addresses, mainly because I try to keep everybody up to date with my monthly newsletter. But thank you to Chris and to the Chamber. I now know what I get to write about in this next month because I pulled all this information together. So if you're here, you're just going to get a repeat. I'm going to assume at least some of you watched the State of the Union address with President Trump. And I'm just going to let you know right now, up front, this is not going to be anything like his. The format will be different, everything will be different. And that's mainly because I don't have a department of speechwriters to write everything for me, nor do I have teleprompters for me to actually have to follow. So I get to kind of do what I want. We're not going to talk about border walls. We probably will talk about fences around the golf course, airport, cemetery, to keep prairie dogs out, but that's the only thing we're actually trying to keep out. And so kind of an overview for today. I'm going to kind of talk about where we've been and what the future holds. This will include letting you know about some projects we've accomplished over the past year, and if any of you want to know how quickly government works, you know that if I say it was accomplished last year, that doesn't mean it actually started last year. It's been probably a number of years in the making, so we'll go through that. I'll let you know of some exciting things that are coming up, how our local economy is doing, and finally, I will finish off with some interesting, in my view, interesting and very random facts about our city departments and the people that serve our great community each and every day. We asked the city departments to provide me some information, and the items they came up with, some of them I didn't know, Some of them I didn't ever think I needed to know. So because I didn't know them and didn't need to know them, now none of you will probably have known them or need to know them. But that's the fun of this and why I have the microphone. So you get to hear about all the random facts that our city staff came up with. So we're actually moving up in the ranks. We're now the 28th largest city in the state of Utah. I don't know what we were before, and I don't know what's before or after us, but we are the 28th. So, and that means we have approximately 31,806 people. I appreciate the census workers that counted our population and made sure to include that last 6 individuals, because that really makes all the difference. But population, and the reason I give you this slide is it's important. It comes as our city grows and as we move into the next census that will be coming out. It ties to recruiting businesses, recruiting good jobs, and also state and grant funding. All of these things rely on our population. And so as our community continues to grow, it helps us plan for the future, plan for infrastructure needs, but also be able to qualify for different types of state and federal funding. And I told you, there's a lot of random facts. Our median age is 26.7. So it's like we're back to being a little kid where you count how many months old you are, all of that. Median age is 26.7 in Cedar City, Utah. So now we'll get to some of the major projects that were completed in 2018. This one is a perfect example of when I say government works at an alarmingly fast speed. So the Coal Creek Flood Control Project was in 3 phases, and it originally started in 2005. And we completed it last year and into this year. So the importance behind this project is the Coal Creek Flood Control project was designed to give flood protection and eliminate the 100-year FEMA flood zone for a significant area of both business and private property in our community along the Coal Creek Channel that runs all the way from the mouth of the canyon through town. Eliminating this flood zone would allow a number of our residents, business owners, etc., to get out of the flood zone and therefore not have to pay the high flood insurance rates that come with the FEMA designation. And so this, and then the secondary point was to develop the beautiful parkway, which is now where the Coal Creek trail system goes. And so the project was initially funded by federal funding, and when we started, this is another beautiful part of government, when we started, we were told we would get all the funding to complete phase 1, 2, and 3. So we got phase 1 done, phase 2 done, and then, all puns intended, the funding dried up from the feds. And so phase 3, which was kind of the middle section, wasn't completed, and without the project was designed as a 3-phase project, so without the middle section, without phase 3, we didn't receive any benefit from either phase 1 or phase 2. So all the work we'd done, the feds really didn't care about when it came to actually approving this project. So when I got into office, I hate unfinished, well, I hate everything that's unfinished. So we got into working with our state and federal legislators. We received the money. That's why last year you saw all of the work going on down along Coal Creek and the road widening, all of the dirt work. It looks beautiful now. It cleaned up the whole area. And so I'm very excited to report that on February 6th, 2019, okay, remember we started in 2005. February 6, 2019, we officially got the FEMA letter of map revision, the LOMAR, and this project has now been accepted by the feds. We are done, and this property has now been taken out of the flood zone. So, see, government can accomplish something, kind of. The golf course irrigation, phase 1 and phase 2. A number of people asked me why the golf course irrigation system was such a big deal and why we continue to put money into working towards the golf course. The golf course irrigation system's over 60 years old. A substantial amount of infrastructure, and I will talk about another project that's this same age, is around 60 years old, and it's outlived its useful life. That means our staff is spending the majority, sometimes 70, 80, 90% of their day trying to fix water leaks out at the golf course, which when we live in a desert, that's not a useful or productive way to use our precious resource of water. So we started with the irrigation system. We had to get, I don't like projects that aren't planned and designed well in advance. And so we started with getting a design for what a new irrigation system would be. And then the phase 1 and phase 2 replaced irrigations around the front 9 greens, practice greens, replaced outdated controllers, upgraded irrigation pipes, put in a weather station, all of that, which has led to, just in these first 2 phases, a 25 to 30% water savings per year. We're going to continue on with updating the irrigation with our golf course, because as the technology has improved over the past 60 years, we are realizing that having these more water conscious, effective systems make it so the water system can be realized. The water stations make it so if it's raining, they automatically shut off instead of our crews having to go out and manually go to every single hole and shut off the water. And so this is just another way that the city is trying to reduce and save water along with what we're asking our residents to do. We also completed a new cemetery office building. If you all remember the beautiful, not beautiful, old house that's on the cemetery, it's still there, but it's no longer where the public needs to go in their time of tragedy to try to look for plots. We now have this beautiful office building. It's not elaborate, but it is a nicer place for families and loved ones to go when they have to pick out plots. The other building, the beautiful old house, is now just used as a maintenance area for our employees. So you will still see that one out there. Okay, the airport, we've had a number of projects take place at the airport. We finally finished our airport master plan update. It was always, for years and years, it was discussed that we needed a longer runway here in Cedar City, and that was the direction we needed to take the airport. Well, through this airport master plan update, we've discovered that it's not necessarily the length of the runway, because we have one of the longest, but instead, we just need to go back in and strengthen the runway. Jets are becoming, and planes, they're becoming more efficient. They don't need nearly the runway length to be able to take off. And so that was one of the things that came out of our master plan update. That will be, I'll talk a little bit more about this in the coming slides. But we also completed the fencing project that was designed to keep prairie dogs out of the airport. The South Apron, we did a rehab on that, the terminal rehab, and taxiway C rehab. All of these are in an effort to make our airport safe for all of our residents and also for the SUU aviation program as they continue to grow and utilize the airport as their home base, and for all of our residents that have either commercial or private planes. We need to make sure the airport remains a safe and viable place for our community now and long into the future. And then we had that should be 2018, the 2018 Stage 1 start finish of the Tour of Utah. I know many of you were there for that exciting number of days leading up, and then the day of the race. We are proud to be known as if we put on an event here, it's world class. And that was once again represented this year with the Tour of Utah. Now, for the exciting part. So things we have coming up to make you aware of. How many of you have driven down Main Street lately, where it's kind of like a little bit of a roller coaster as you go through the dips and bumps and all of that? That will be taken care of this spring and fall. There will be we have worked with UDOT for a number of years, and this will be the year that we will be doing a major rehab where we are replacing water lines, sewer lines, because if you dig up the street once, you might as well get everything done all instead of digging it up and then digging it up again. So we will be doing the road construction, compacting Main Street. It will go from Monterey to Center Street. That's the plan as of right now. And that will be in conjunction with UDOT. The city crew will go in and replace utilities. And then UDOT will come in and do the main road. So that will impact all of you. Just a fair warning, this will impact everyone. We're also doing a streetlight retrofit. We're going to continue that phase 2. We've done the first phase. We're trying to make it so that there are more lights, not to ruin the dark skies for everybody who has that question, but just to make it so our community is safer. And so there is more light on Main Street. We're going to continue with that phase 2 of that project. So now, when you drive down Main Street and you're all mad at me, I warned you. Okay? Just keep that in mind. I have warned you. Here's an exciting one. Due to St. George having to close their airport, not that we take advantage anytime something happens in St. George, but we are taking complete and full advantage of this. St. George is closing their airport for their runway. They have to completely redo their runway, which means we get 3 flights a day out of Cedar City from May 29th to September 6th. This is the flight schedule. We will continue to post it. There are, if any of you have business meetings in Salt Lake, or it makes it so you can fly up a 10-day full day worth of meetings and fly back home the same day, which is wonderful for anyone who's tried to do business travel or even traveling for pleasure. We do want a number of St. George businesses, individuals, since their airport shut down, they're going to want to start booking these flights. So we're trying to get the information out to all of our residents so that you make sure that during this time frame, if you are planning on traveling, try to book early so that you actually make it on the planes and not all of the flights are taken up. But we also want to use this information to try to push SkyWest to, we're hoping that these flights are all full so that we can try to talk to SkyWest into giving us an early morning flight back again. So that's our ultimate goal. But just know during that time frame, the airport traffic will be, and our schedule will be changed, and truly book early if you're planning on flying during that during that time frame. Oh, what? No, go back. Okay, so I'm sure you have all heard me talk about this. It's the new Cedar City Animal Adoption Shelter. It is well under construction. We are thrilled about this shelter. This is another one of those areas where the current facility where we're holding animals was it was originally designed as a coal storage building. So it was never designed to hold animals or people. And we've retrofitted it down to the point where it's not a safe facility for anyone involved anymore. We're to the point where the other day there were cat kennels in the code enforcement and the animal controls. Their offices were full of cat kennels because there just is no space, especially after the state changed the law that we must hold animals for 5 days before you can adopt them out. So people wonder why you don't just move them immediately. That's because of state law, and we actually tried to follow state law. So right now, our shelter has no HVAC system. It doesn't have proper ways to circulate the air. There is no room to quarantine sick or really aggressive animals. You can put them there, but they're for sure sick animals. You can't quarantine them, which can lead to spread of disease. We have moved to no-kill status with all of the hard work of our staff, but it is taken kind of to drastic measures of trying to fly animals out of here. Our focus going forward in the future is to remain a no-kill shelter, and with that, really promote adoption, and this animal shelter will do that. The shelter currently has 21 cages for dogs, 30 cages for cats. The new one would have 18 kennels for dogs with 6 for medical and quarantine in a separate area. And there's also a way that we can board all the police canines from the entire county. So if any of our police officers go out of town that have a canine, right now they have to leave their dog either with another officer or try to board it at a private facility, which can cause its own problems because, side note, each police canine is a minimum of $10,000. And then weekly training to keep them up to their certifications. And so these animals are a major investment for our community, and being able to have this facility where we know that they are safe, they're in their own designated area, they're not going to get a disease from another animal because of the design of the special area, of our police area. It will make a major difference. We also will have 16 kennels for stray cats. This community loves their stray cats, by the way. 16 kennels for adoptable cats, and then 6 medical quarantine kennels with the ability to add additional kennels and space if needed. They're dog runs, so animals can actually go in and out. There will be proper drainage, all of that. Now, for the fun part, we are still fundraising. There is a group of citizens. Is that you, Mr. Adams, that started giggling? No? Okay. If you would like to be part, there's a $1,000 club, and then there are different naming opportunities. We would love you all and your businesses to take part in this building that will be here for lasting like the last one, the next 60 years. So come and speak with Councilman Phillips or myself, and we can give you more information on that. The next exciting one is the new VA cemetery. And this will actually be the only federal VA cemetery for the time being in the state of Utah. The other cemetery that we normally think of with veteran cemeteries up north, that's actually run by the state, and this will be run by the feds, which is all great as long as the government's not shut down. The location, if any of you have not heard, it is behind Home Depot and essentially behind the liquor store. We'll be putting the road in this spring once the weather warms up enough for the asphalt plants to warm up and open again. But this will be a For any of you who have ever been to a veteran cemetery across the country or across the world, they are some of the most pristinely taken care of plots of land that you will ever have, as it's important to remember our veterans and to properly honor them. And we are really fortunate that this cemetery has come to Cedar and will be able to serve the residents here and throughout the state. Okay, Haute Route. I've never pronounced that name right, but it is a 3-day amateur cycling event that will bring participants from all across the world to compete here in Cedar City. Picture Tour of Utah, because they structure it just like a professional cycling event, but it will be for 3 days, and the majority of the participants use this as their family holiday. As they've often referred, every time we talk to the individuals that plan this, they remind us that this is a family holiday. They are from not America. And so a lot of the riders will be international. They will bring their families. They will stay here for the duration of the event because it's not professional. They tend to have the family, the wife, the kids, or the spouse do a different sightseeing events, all of that during the day, and then they reconnect at night and spend some time together. And so this will be a great opportunity for our hotels, for our restaurants, while this is in town, and it is planned for fall of this year. The trail system, and throughout this state, active transportation has been a very big push, and we have been working on that here in Cedar City. We have a trails committee. So here's another plug. If any of you would like to serve on committees, please let me know, because I'm always looking for individuals to serve on committees. But we have our trails committee, and we task not only the trails committee, but it's been an ongoing thing to make our trail system in Cedar a loop. Now, this part does not necessarily connect the full loop, but we are going to, on this one we have plans drawn up. We're just waiting for the asphalt plants to open again for a number of new trail expansions. We're looking in the Fiddlers area, the south, literally right over on the other side of the freeway, to help connect that loop in conjunction with the BLM trails that go up the canyon. We're looking at putting a trail around the lake at the hills. So while families are at the lake or at the ball fields or at the ice rink or at the pool, the other family members can go and walk a loop around the lake. And then we're also looking in the Cross Hollow area as ways to continue to make our trail system connected and grow this, so eventually we will have a loop and you will be able to get from one side of Cedar to the other side of Cedar all on a trail. So we're really excited. That's another one that we're just waiting for asphalt plants to open. Okay, back to the golf course. So the irrigation was phased because it was not a small project to undertake. The phase 3 will be more pumps. It will continue to upgrade the irrigation system. It will also add a pond feature. And I have been yelled at by some golfers about this because they've told me that that's going to just make it so they lose more golf balls. Well, get better. So go to the golf course more and practice. But we are excited about this. It will also continue to have water savings at the golf course, which is our ultimate goal, is to be able to conserve as much water as possible while still providing a beautiful venue for our residents and for our tourists. But really, if you're going to whine about losing golf balls, go practice. There are a few others that are really exciting. On the wastewater treatment plant, we expanded the lab and administration building, which will allow us to do more water testing. Yes, with our new treatment plant and the new system, the state and feds require more testing. So not only will this help protect our residents, but it will keep us in compliance with both state and feds. So we expanded the lab, all of that. Plus we've had a number of new businesses either relocate, expand, or grow their, pretty much just come to Cedar, and we're super excited about all of those. It was a little over a year ago that this hotel that we're sitting in today opened. We've had Culver's and Golden Corral just recently. I mean, you can't forget the large expansion of Deseret Industries, the State Bank of Southern Utah branch that's right here on Interstate Drive. GAF expanded, CoreWorks expanded, Charlotte Pipe expanded, Genpack expanded, Ross Dress for Less came to Cedar, Cedar Sports Outdoor Gear and Rentals came, Tees, Stonehenge, Sportsman's Warehouse, Boulevard Home Furnishings. I mean, those are just to name a few. So our community and our business community does continue to grow, and we are super thankful and appreciative to each of you and the impact that you have had in continuing with the growth and development of our community. Okay, so here's some things that are on the docket that are coming out. Like I said, St. George, their runway is shutting down, so we're going to benefit. It was actually supposed to be our runway that shut down this year, but St. George had way more problems than we did, so they got pushed ahead of us in line. So our runway, it's probably 2020 before it happens, but we will have to, similar to St. George, shut down the airport and do a major runway rehab project on our main runway out of the airport, which will mean that flights can't come in and out for that period of time. And the economic, let's see, I'm not sure if I already taken, oh, I need to speed up. So, okay, then we will speed up. We're just going to skip a couple slides. So now we'll get to the economy, because that's always a thrilling subject. So in the state, our economic information is gathered on a county-wide basis, and it's done by the Department of Workforce Services, and they report. Cedar City is the county's largest community, the commercial center, all of that. So most of these figures, although some will say Iron County, really a lot of them, the data is really pertinent to our city. Okay, Iron County, here is one of the best ways. The Department of Workforce Services economist, Leah Langston, says that the year-to-year change over non-farm jobs is one of the best indicators of the conditions of the economy. So between September 2017 and September 2018, Iron County added more than 1,100 new jobs, which gave us a job growth rate of 6.2%, and that is compared with 3.3% in Utah and 1.7% in the US. So we are the happy little green line down there that is on the rise, which is a good thing. Let's see. So unadjusted or seasonally adjusted unemployment rate for December 2018. I might have read this. Yeah. So at Iron County, we're at 3.6% for our jobless rate, which is lower than the national average of 3.9 and above the state's of 3.2. So strong job growth and low unemployment is pretty much right on target for our market. You kind of watch these figures because if your unemployment rate gets too low, then that's when you kind of start to look around and make sure that our economy is still doing great. Average wage. This is always going to be a sticking point. Iron County's, we are the green, the state is the blue. So while we are still significantly below the state for our average monthly wage, this is trending in the right direction, which it hasn't always been and hasn't been for it. We're getting closer. The Iron Counties, we continue to grow, although we remain substantially lower than the average wage. Currently, our average monthly wage is just 68.6% of this state average. In 2007, okay, so back pre-recession, our monthly average wage was 69.5% of the state. So the wage gap is widening slightly. And that is, if you look statewide, some of this is due to Silicon Slopes, to the tech industry booming up north, all of that. But this is the one place where, as private business owners and as the community, we can do better to provide higher wages for our community. The year-to-year gross, I told you we were going to get to all the fun economic stuff. The year-to-year change in gross gross taxable sales. Taxable sales in Iron County had a third quarter year-to-year increase of nearly 13%, and that is more than double the 6% growth for the state as a whole. So we are doing good with our sales tax, but our wages still remain low. That's kind of the big takeaway from those. Okay, dwelling units. This is fascinating for the building profession, for lenders, for all of that. For 2018, Cedar City's dwelling unit permits were up 82% over 2017. So those give you the numbers. Interestingly enough, okay, good. As of the fourth quarter of 2018, there were a total of 1,693 available vacant residential lots in Cedar, and that's split up to 953 vacant subdivision lots and 740 vacant PUD lots. So there are a lot of lots in inventory in our community right now. And so while the building permits continue to go up, there are still a ton of vacant lots. And they also informed me yesterday that although our economy is doing really well, for the first 45 days of this year, and this is in Iron County, not just singling Cedar City, but all of Iron County, single-family building permits were down approximately 50%, with 26 building permits being pulled for single-family years in 2019, as compared with 53 being pulled for the same time in 2018. So that's just a little bit of information to keep in mind when it comes to building. We're still very optimistic that all of our sectors will remain doing well, including the building industry. But everybody going into the other recession all says, we wish we would have looked at this information then. And so because of that, I'm now providing this information to you now. Cost of living, our cost of living, this is very interesting. So the benchmark nationwide is 100%. We are below the national cost of average in every category except for transportation, which takes into account fuel, cars, all of that. So you can all look at that one, but every other category we are below. And we'll kind of now move a little bit faster. So as for the city as a whole, I told you I'd give you some random facts. We have, I'm sure you all wonder what your tax dollars go towards, how many employees, all of that. We have 150 plus or minus. We are in the process of hiring a number of positions right the second. In fact, they're doing employment interviews right now. We just hired a new airport manager and airport ops operator, and so the 150 full-time, we have 225 plus or minus part-time, and then we add seasonal into that. 10 departments, 18 divisions. Between public works and police, that's about 50 full-time employees. And because this deals with economic development, and Danny's not here, so I can't even give him a hard time. Their department has 2. He wants to make sure that everybody knows all of the great economic development work comes from the department of 2, the smallest department in the city. So the police, just a couple of interesting ones. We did we got our second canine. So Cedar City now has 2 canines, which if you'd watched the news lately, you saw that our most recent canine that we got certified actually just did a major drug bust on the freeway. And so these are a huge asset to our community. And both dogs are now fully trained, certified, and we're able to provide Cedar City with the resources that we need. We added a 3rd DARE officer that will be teaching to all the 5th grade elementary students. DARE graduation is all right now this time of year, and so it's really neat to see what these 5th graders are learning, and hopefully they stay on the path of not doing drugs and not bullying. And this is important. In the last 30 days, there have been 44 cases of theft. So these are crimes of opportunity. The half have been for shoplifting. The others have been, a number of them are car break-ins, those types of things. So actually lock your cars. Remember, lock your cars, keep your valuables hidden and out of sight. And for a police officer to be ready to work before they can get through everything, they have to have completed 15.5 weeks of, they call it POST, which is our police academy training, and then an additional 14 weeks of field training with 3 different veteran officers. So after they get through with all of the posts, they still have to come back here and go through 14 weeks rotating between different officers before we'll let them be on their own to protect our community. Our Public Works Department, the Public Works involves the airport, CATS, our bus system, Fleet Department, solid waste, streets, the wastewater treatment plant, and the water division. And let's see, what are some fun ones with this one? Our water department manages 8 culinary water wells, 2 secondary irrigation wells, 11 storage tanks, and 239 miles of water line. My mom actually told me I wasn't allowed to say this, so we'll say it anyway. It takes our treatment plant and maintains over 220 miles of sewer line and over 4,000 manholes, and it takes approximately 4 hours for the sewer to flow 10 miles from the city to the treatment plant. Now that you're all done eating breakfast, I can say that. The streets division, we have over 4 million square feet of city streets, and it's impressive what they do, especially this time of year with all of the snow plow and making sure that our crews are dispatched out in the middle of the night, holidays, it doesn't matter, to try to keep the snow off our roads and them safe for all of our residents. Leisure services involves the aquatic center, all of our sports and rec city league programs, the Cross Hollow Event Center, the golf course, all of our parks and outdoor facilities, and the cemetery. And some interesting things with that department. There were more than 50,000 9-hole rounds of golf last year and 20 tournaments. We sold more than 50,000 day passes to the aquatic center. We built the new cemetery building, and they did, Cross Hollows, we're super excited to inform me that they hauled away approximately 20 tons of horse manure this past year. I told you, facts you never wanted to know, but now you'll keep them in your mind forever. And we have a giant monster truck event coming to the facility in 2019, so be on the lookout for that. It will be a lot of fun. The Cedar City Iron County Office of Economic Development. We have worked with over 24, so in economic development, all of the projects any site selectors, before they actually come to the community, they're all given a ridiculous code name. And so we have over 24 projects that have expressed interest and are currently working with our Economic Development Office. There are 3 manufacturing projects that are actively working towards locating here. And because everything runs so quickly, just know that even though we are very actively working with all of these, which will be good jobs for our residents, they still take a number of years from when they start the process until the facility is here and up and running and completed. And this is, we've been working with the state to promote our opportunity zones. There are 2 opportunity zones in Iron County. That is a whole nother lecture for a whole nother day. If you have questions, come talk to me and I will be happy to fill you in. And this is the smallest department with the longest name. So that's their claim to fame, is that for 2 people they have the longest and most unnecessary name. Our fire department purchased a new brush truck this past year, which will assist both with our residents here and as they continue to grow the wildland program, where we go out to other states, other communities, and assist during their times of natural disaster, and then get reimbursed and compensated for all of that time. The department possesses nearly 1.5 miles of supply hose, 1.3 miles of tack hose, which is enough to stretch from Main Street to Lund Highway if you run it down 200 North. I told you these are random, but they were so excited about it. And between the 52 members, our fire department is mostly volunteers. So between the full-time and volunteers, to make up the 52 members of our fire department, they have a combined 965 years of experience, which is an average of over 13 years per firefighter, which they don't all have 13 years, but that takes into an average. You wonder why they spent the time coming up with all of these useless statistics, don't you? But this is all for your benefit. And our Cedar City Library and Heritage Center, they're one department now. This past year we put a new roof on Festival Hall in conjunction with the county. Last year there were 209,475 visitors to the library, which is equivalent to 1 person every minute during the library's 3,310 open hours. So our library continues to be a great resource and asset with their, they've extended programming, they're trying new things. They started a drawing class where they have locals from the community come in and pose, and then they teach sketching classes, in addition to all of the other wonderful services that the library and Heritage Center Festival Hall continue to offer. And so as the city, we're getting ready to start our budget cycle for this next fiscal year. The fiscal year starts July 1st. So I would invite all of you, there's a number of public hearings, ways to get involved, so you know where your tax dollars are going. You know what we're doing as a community, as a city. We want your feedback, we want your input, we want you to be involved. And knowing first and foremost where the money is being spent is a great way. And then also to get involved and get on communities. The city recently received our audit report. We have a very clean audit with no major, actually there weren't findings or any major findings, so it was a great year for the city. So we are being responsible with your money, and hope you continue to work with us to find the best solutions for all of our residents and our community going forward for the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for spending your morning with me. And I hope this has been informative and educational and let you know a little bit more about what we're doing here in our great city to serve all of you. So thank you.